My name is Dima, and I'm a campaigner at Greenpeace. So what is a campaign? A campaign is basically a way for us to change the world towards better. How are you going to change the world? You have to figure out, how does the world work? So a very large part of what I do is actually in the beginning of each campaign is to gather information. I have to understand, what is the problem? What are the dynamic forces that have led the world to the state that it's in now? Where does it seem to be heading to? What are the forces and powers at play that brought about this state of play? And it's very important that I know where I want the world to be. So I have to develop a vision. I have to know what it is that I'm campaigning for. What is this world vision that I'm working towards? Once I have done that, I have to do a pretty thorough analysis in order to understand how the decisions that affect the world work. Who makes the decisions? What is it that motivates the people and the entities that make these decisions? So I need to lay out a clear strategy. So if I want to move this government or this company, what is it that's going to make them want to move? What is it that motivates them towards a different type of behavior than the one that they displayed so far that has brought us to the situation that we have now? So once you have established a vision, and once you have done a pretty clear analysis of the forces in play, and once you have laid out a strategy, that is when you can start planning the actual tactics, what it is that you want to do. So there are a number of, well, call it weapons in your arsenal or tools in your toolbox, depends how peaceful you're feeling, that you can bring into play in order to move these forces along. All of these, in the end, are about communication. In order to design a good communication strategy, based on the analysis you've done before, you need to also figure out very clearly who it is you're communicating to and what are the messages that will move that particular audience in the direction that you want it to go to. You can work certainly through mainstream media, and you can do that by talking to journalists, writing debate articles, putting out the news. You can try to hook onto the news. There's basically two ways to work with the media. You can ride the wave of already news that exists, and you can create a wave by basically making the news that the media will report on. So pretty typical Greenpeace way of making waves, of course, is doing direct action. I mean, you know, if there's a polluting factory right there, I can certainly write a lot of articles about it that may or may not be printed, but the day that I actually chain myself to the gates and stop the factory from functioning, that will actually be the news that I will have created, and thus created a platform whereby I can talk about the problem and bring that to the attention of the public. Another way to communicate, of course, is direct communication to the people in power. So it's lobbying documents, it is meetings, it is attending conferences, it is attending international meetings, and could be a direct communication also by putting the message in their face in a way that they cannot ignore it. Whether it's a demonstration outside their office, whether it's dropping a banner on the ministry, it's also a way of communicating directly to the people in power. There are other ways to communicate as well that may not be quite as straightforward. Many of them are synthesized in the action of a direct action, in a nonviolent civil disobedience direct action. In the way it's kind of a microcosm of a campaign. What you're doing is you are, through your own personal, putting your body onto the line between the destruction and the victim, you are both symbolically and really taking an action to stop the destruction, while at the same time using that in order to communicate the need for change. One of the important aspects of campaigning, at least the campaigning that we do in Greenpeace, is empowerment. It's actually, by example, showing people that they're not left at the mercy of large companies or governments, that you have the power to actually change things. Showing people that it's okay to question authority, that it's actually healthy to question authority, that you are the landlord of your universe, that you can determine what it is that your life should be about. That power is what is really going to bring about the change. We can be the catalyst, we can show an example, but in the end, it's when the society changes, it's when the people in it realize their own power and start using it. That's when the changes come about. That's when the magic happens.